Right now on Full Custom Garage, master metalman Ian Roussel transforms a 1948 Packard into a street cruising lead sled.
I want to build it and give it to my friend Tom.
Wow, I was blown away.
But Ian's goodwill comes with a price.
It's not a Merc, it's a Packard. And this roof line is bunk.
He got in deep with this project.
It's gonna get loud, man.
I think it's a lot deeper than he thought he was going to get in with this project.
Yahoo! But for Ian, one Packard just isn't enough.
I go over to Don's, and he's got his Packard. He's all amped up. It's all Packards all the time. Get them done. It's like a duel to the finish. Yeah! A lead sled is an iconic American custom car. It's a traditional type of custom build. It started with the Mercs from 49 to 51, but you see people using the same formula on all different types of cars. That's the whole thing with a lead sled, is just trying to make your car an individual. I think that's really how it all started. So this is an evolving thing. I mean, it really happened in the 50s, but people are still trying new stuff today. I've been friends with Don for quite a while, working on various projects. I keep walking by this Packard, just looking at it, imagining its potential. I want to chop this thing and make it a lead sled for my friend Tom. I talked to Don about this car. I wasn't sure if he was attached to it or not. He couldn't get rid of it fast enough. He had no use for it.
It's been sitting here for 10 years at least, and it was a parts car, so it's all yours. It's amazing how you've taken the worst of the projects and done the best with them.
It's easy to make a good car look good.
It's the beat-up ones are the challenge, aren't they?
I don't think this tire's gonna make it, man. We're gonna need the forklift.
Out of the blue, he calls me and says, hey, I've got something in mind for you. I was blown away. I've always wanted my own Ian Roussel designed car.
We've tried a few times, but really it's the financial aspect.
Being a father, being a husband, I have not always had the money.
Me being able to help him out with this is really cool. He's helped me out a bunch, so hey man, right back at you. I'm stoked. It's on. We're moving the car out. I've been looking at this thing sitting still for years. Finally, we're moving it. I get it out in the parking lot, and it's like all wrong. I was so amped up to get this thing in the shop. It's like I had blinders on, you know? I was just looking at it for what I saw as potential. Once I got in the shop, I realized there was just so much ugly, I didn't know how to handle it. I never really had the opportunity to stand back and look at it that much. It was always under that carport. Once we got it outside in the open, you could stand back and look at it, and I don't know, it really doesn't have a good line. I loved the way that the taillights in the rear section looked, but that's because it was in a carport and you couldn't stand back and look at it. In my opinion, the big sore spot in the whole car is the rear of the roof. The longer I looked at it, I really started second guessing myself. Like maybe this wasn't the car at all to start with. I've never dealt with a roof that has this ugly hump in the back. So I'm gonna take the whole skin right off of the top of the roof. I'm gonna come in right about here, and the roof attaches probably about that far above the drip rail, and I know I'm gonna shave the drip rails. So I'm gonna take this whole roof cap right off, kind of like this. You can see it's got this little shape that's stamped in it, and that's where it all went wrong, in my opinion. This was good, and then something grew out of the back of the car. I'm gonna cut it right at that line, because it's not gonna have that anymore. You can see it's almost like the engineers in the factory were setting it up for a chop. I'm just gonna start by chopping the heck out of it. No plan. I think it looks better already. The standard procedure in cutting any car's roof off is to brace up the interior. You don't want the thing to shift. You want it to stay just as it is so the door is shut properly. I'm just not doing any of that. I've done enough metal work, I've cut apart enough cars to know what I can get away with. I think I can get away with it. Aha! Cutting off the top was the right call. Now I just got to figure out the roof line. My friend Tom is a graphic artist. He's done a lot of work for me in the past with t-shirts and other designs. I took a side shot of the car with the roof on and sent it to Tom and just see what he comes up with. Maybe he's seeing something I'm not.
He sends it to me and it's pretty rough. I see where the car has potential and I try to bring it to life on the computer. When I had gotten to my final rendering of the Packard, I sent it to Ian and I didn't know how he was going to react.
Tom's fast. I get an email back the same day of this rendering, and it's pretty cool. He took the windshield and he raked it forward. I've never seen that done before. Typically, if you chop a top, you may rake the windshield back, but this one was so slanted back, he moved it forward and he put a nice slope in the rear of the roof line. Very cool design. Just standing the windshield up like that, it looked like garbage. It was ill-fitting, but Tom's design looks good. I just have to make my metalwork follow his idea. These two templates came off of a 59 Volkswagen and a 51 Henry J. So you can see that their windshield angles are even more upright than where I'm at now with this Packard window. You can see how the side rails are really projecting upwards. So I'm just trying to make it look a little bit more like a Merc or something that's a little more popular. As I tilted the windshield forward, it was causing the center of it to dip below the cowl, the skin of the body. But the main problem I'm facing is these curves are designed to have the glass at the factory angle. As I'm raising it forward, the glass is falling down. So you can see the huge difference. This is about where the factory glass sat, way back. Something about fixed metal shapes. When you put them in a place they're not supposed to be, it's just unforgiving. It's kind of a hurdle to make this windshield look right. I tried a couple different options. I took a couple shims and I shimmed it up, moved the windshield around to get it sit more vertically. For now, I'm just gonna let this sit here, build out all of the structures around the side windows, that way it has strength, and then later I'll bring up this bottom lip. Setting up a chop like this without any direction is kind of dicey, so I'm just trying to feel my way through it, and that's by leading off with this windshield and figuring the rest out. The window opening now, without the rubber, showing 16, so it's probably about a 15-inch window. So I think I'm just gonna take a third out of it. I'm gonna take a 5-inch chop. I think a mellow chop is considered about 3 inches. This is a tall, ugly car. I'm just trying to help it out. I'm going for 5. Crazy thing about this Packard is the A-pillars are almost parallel as they go up. They're always kind of triangle shaped. You know, they taper towards the top of the roof. This one was straight. Now we'll see how much the mismatch is. It's negligible. So it made the chop really easy. I have my sneaking suspicions that the Packard designers probably drew the car like this, and then it got changed. Restructuring this roof skin and the frames surrounding the doors, and that's the line of the car. This is what makes it. I want to take this arch out of the rear window. The same idea as removing that big bulge that's in the back of the roof. This is a pretty risky move. I'm really taking all of the strength out of the whole side of the roof line. But I want this look, so I'm making all these pie cuts in it. It's gonna stretch out the rear portion to make it more streamlined. This is really gonna define what the car looks like, setting up these door frame surrounds. It's also a structural part of the car, so So I'm just trying to use what I have, make a couple splices, and just come up with a shape that I like. My special envisioning tool. Ah, yes, the cardboard envisioning tool. It's something that you don't see a lot, but everybody's got one. Just hold it up and look through. The whole idea with this envisioning tool, it's like blinders on a horse, right? You just see what you need to and carry on. My job is done here. This car is getting a full new paint job. So once I got the look of the roof established, I wanted it all to be one color. So instead of painting it, I'm just gonna take all the paint off. Aside from that front driver's side fender, everything else is pretty much intact. Big problem with this car is it's crashed. The whole front fender is creamed. Don says he's got one in his yard that's a replacement, and it just might make this thing a lot easier to finish. I'm really happy with the line of these two rails coming back from the A-pillar. And the big question mark is how the roof skin fits back on. I'm liking how the sides of the car are coming out, but I'm gotta get this roof skin on. Thinking maybe the original one will work, even though I don't want to use it. I think I'm just gonna put it on there and just check it out. Once I got it back on in place, it seems like it'll fit, but it's still got issues. You know, it was designed with this big bulge in the rear, and I'm trying to get away from that. Don came over to look at the car because I think he's kind of sitting there being a naysayer.
I don't see the envision that he does, you know? His creative mind is thinking, but my mind is not that creative. He got in deep with this project. I think it's a lot deeper than he thought he was going to get in with this project.
I'm really seeing the potential in this thing, but he's just not digging it. I got a couple tricks up my sleeve. I think it's going to convince him. I'm going to change the look once more. Ready?
You ready? Go for it.
This is the main part of what I don't like about the car, is this weird bubble back. Help me bring this up onto the windshield, and let's see how it's working there. That is freaking gangster,
nice
man.
Right there. He's changed the body lines on that top so much. It looks like a Merc. The way the top has cut it now and laid that window back, it's just looking way cool.
Thing really is just committing to a course of action. By splitting the roof and just refiguring it a little bit, all of a sudden the line appeared. You know, and that's really cool. Don was liking it, and I think we're on a good run.
So what do you think on this here? Just trim this back piece off here? Is this how this is gonna work? And then
I think so. See the way it was all up in the air, even taller, but when you just lap it over, it really just relaxes. I'm telling you, the designers intended this car to be chopped.
They really did, didn't they?
They were thinking ahead, and I gotta thank them for that. It's making my work a lot easier.
That fits nice, because then basically what, just a panel from here to here?
Well, see, I'll lift this up, and that makes the job even easier. See? You don't have another back window, do you?
The boneyard does have some treasures in it, that's for sure.
This fender's seen better days. If you got a replacement, I'll change it out.
I'm pretty sure I have a replacement fender.
Cool. Maybe I'll swing by your place and pick up the fender tomorrow or something.
Sounds like a plan.
Cool, man.
All right, back to work.
Yes, sir. The roof skin fits, but it's all about refining it. It wasn't designed to be in this orientation, so there's a bulge that needs to be fixed. The whole thing about it is just metal, you know, make a couple cuts, reposition it, and problem solved. It's pretty rad. I just cut it, put it in place, and, you know, a couple little pinches and clamps, and the thing fits great. gonna take the whole rear portion of the roof and just tack weld it back in place. It's at a totally different angle, but it seems like it's flowing. It lines up pretty darn good. The main concern for me now is what's gonna happen in here. This last part of assembling the roof really is the line of the car. It's what I've been trying to improve on. And that's the issue. You got a flat spot. You got to work around that. And that's going to be a challenge. So it's important that I make this sheet metal flow. It's got to fit the car right. It's going to get loud, man. I like to work fast and loose. Bottom line. I had this idea, I've done it on a couple other things. I just use a pneumatic hammer. I just rattle it real quick, just in a circular pattern, crisscross. What it does is creates a dome. I'm right where I want to be. I got the roof line established. It's pretty much fit up, so you get a good visual representation just in time for Tom. Typical car story. I go over to Don's to get the fender, a replacement for mine, and he's got his Packard. He's all amped up.
Really, it's been sitting there for 10 years or better that I really wanted to do something with it.
The whole time I've known Don, this car was just a big shape under a tarp in his shop, so I knew there was something special under there, and finally pulling it out, it was quite the reveal.
It is a 1950 two-door Packard fastback, and from what I understand, it's slightly a rare car.
So, now that we've got some of the dust off, what exactly were you hoping to accomplish?
I would like to get it to go stop and go again.
Most of Don's projects just involve getting them mechanically sound and running them. He's all about the mechanics.
The car, all in all, is pretty much a stock car. I like to keep it that way. I lean towards that area anyway.
First off, it has no hood or fenders. It's somewhere else. So I hope Don's got all the parts.
Well, Ian, this is where the last of the treasures are hiding for this project. They've been here for eons, and you can see they're
all bleached out.
They are bleached out.
No. You wouldn't think they were for the same car. Don says the fenders are up there. They don't look like the right ones to me. They're a totally different color. I figure I'm just gonna climb up there and grab them. And then all heck breaks loose.
Oh, look at that. There's more trim under there, too.
A bird nest and an egg.
Oh, there's wasp all over the place.
Yahoo! I disturbed somebody's home. They've been in residence a long time.
As he's passing the fender down, he disturbs the hornet's nest that's underneath the second fender. You didn't get stung, did you?
Nope.
Okay, because I'm highly allergic to those.
Yeah, I'll get out.
And Ian was pretty quick. Ian's a big guy, but he moved pretty darn quick up to that land sea container.
My cat-like reflexes allowed me to avoid utter failure. I totally got shocked, you know? You're just moving along, doing your thing, and then, like, you know, total adrenaline rush. Here they come. Wow! Somehow I ended up on top of the shipping container with a broom in my hand. It was like, just reaction.
Don't back up too far and fall off the other edge.
There's one there on the Mustang. I got him. Right now, it's self-defense. This is an angry swarm of insects coming after me, so I'm doing it pro golf style.
Whatever lives on the property, I let live on the property. I'm not into eradicating them. Oh, they're gonna be really pissed now.
Don hops up on the rack and takes care of business, and that's fine by me.
I knocked the hornet's nest out of that fender for Ian. He was still a little reluctant to get back up there to get those.
I'll just hang out up here until the air clears.
You know, we needed the parts. We couldn't have Ian stung, so that was the end of the wasp nest.
Let's bring her on in. There's another one.
From cars to bee wrangling.
We got both fenders down in the shop, so it's like on to the next. Saving the paint's my priority. The fenders are a totally different color than we want. So my first assessment is I'm just gonna take some buffing compound and see what happens.
Ian got real resourceful. He brought in that 3M rubbing compound and squirted some on the fenders and just took a rag and started polishing it.
And I put it on there and it turned blue, like the rest of the car. I was surprised. It says it's Super Duty rubbing compound. You can see I'm rubbing. It's definitely doing some super duty. Pretty easy task, you know, I got Don all inspired, collected the parts, put them together, and I just get to rub out the paint job. That's an easy day on the job.
I've spent the time when I got the car to get all the parts required for it, too.
Packard just got a really unique kind of look. The grille is this strange little center chrome piece with these massive body panels surrounding it. So it's actually a pretty easy fit up because these fenders take up a huge amount of the car. There's like 4 main parts in the whole nose. Seeing the car all mocked up like this, it's just a cool, inspirational thing. I'm ready to put the engine in. Don had this engine from who knows where. Small block Chevy, most popular engine in the world, bottom line. I don't know the history about it, but he says it's a runner.
We got the motor stuck in it, and it fit.
With some cars, you know, say if you're putting a V8 in, say, a Ford Falcon or something, or a Vega, it's a real nightmare. This car's got tons of room, no real stress.
In a short amount of time, I'm really impressed how much work got done on this car.
This is really rudimentary custom work. Any kind of custom car, you go through this stuff. I've done it a million times. So Don's gonna finish up the rest of this engine installation. Tom's coming by, so I'm gonna get back on that Packard and get back to work. Uh-oh, there goes the neighborhood. What's up, man?
Wow.
Got a car.
This is the Packard, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't like that 4 days ago, remember?
So being excited about seeing this Packard underway, I gave Ian a call and I said, hey, I gotta come down. I gotta take a look at this thing. Being that I barely sent the artwork to Ian just a matter of days ago, I'm blown away at how much he's accomplished.
I think Tom's really stoked. The roof line matches his drawing, I mean, almost to the T. So, I mean, what do you think?
I dig it. It almost makes you wonder why it wasn't built this way to begin with.
You know, that's one thing I've been saying all along.
It's very cool to see another artist take my artwork and make it even better.
And just putting it on the ground and chopping the top, he loves it.
Now that I see it here in person, I like it as a 4-door.
Do you like my lowering kit so far?
What'd you do?
Well, I lowered it, right? Isn't that how you do it?
Yeah, you just took the wheels off?
That's about it.
That's one way to get it down.
Yeah. So it won't be this low, obviously. I'll have to figure out what to do with the springs. I'm thinking about just torching the springs and putting some blocks in the back.
Yeah.
So we'll see. If this thing runs, then you're kind of ready to go. We'll make the brakes work and hopefully it starts up. Don has been pretty good about that. He's pretty mechanically minded and he says it runs. He had it running a few years ago, so.
Okay, good. Be the coolest family on the boulevard, I tell you what.
He really wanted a big old chop top lead sled. He's got it. I stopped on these roof panels. My next step is to throw them on the English wheel and get these guys tacked in. I got a way of doing things by myself, but hey, there's another body in the room. Get to work.
To be able to work with Ian today is a real special treat.
This is a really complex thing, creating a big roof for a chop top car. The whole thing is establishing this nice roof line. I want to minimize the amount of body filler in the end. So it's really just like push it, hold it into position, and tack weld it so it stays. You know, it's the stuff you read about in magazines. So I stuck them in the car and had them hold up the sheet metal. I would have to come up with a bunch of weird contraptions to hold it in place. Here he is doing it. He was pretty excited.
Ian, in my opinion, is today's Ed Roth. Ed Roth was a wild customizer who was very innovative. Ian is just carrying that torch.
What this thing does is it sucks the metal together so it will create a little more of a dome.
Ian likes to think outside the box, doesn't care about what anybody else thinks, and builds what he wants.
So this is gonna crown it out a little bit more, as well as take away all those hammer marks. I'm really not that familiar with an English wheel. I've only used it a couple times. Eastwood had this really simple, portable one, and it worked out pretty darn good. Pretty good. Yep. Getting the sheet metal tacked in place, that's it. That's the car. The line of it's established. It's just a matter of finish work. If you like it, here we go. I'll put it all together and on to the next.
It's a killer chop.
We got the chop top nailed. It looks great. There's still a lot more. One of the defining factors on getting this project was that Don says it's mechanically sound, you know, it's a runner. I gotta get some electricity and some fuel to this and be sure that it's gonna go down the road. This car is ancient. It looks like an Egyptian tomb under the hood, man. Well, it gets spark. Something happened. That's a good sign. So I'm pretty surprised that this thing fired up like it did. It purrs. It's an old engine, but it runs great. We gotta pick up the dust somehow. So this roof is bondoed out for 3 full days. I got just a little over 2 gallons of Bondo on it. So I had to make the whole thing flow into one nice dome. And I think I did that. It looks pretty good. So the last part of the equation is these door frames. This is the trickiest part of the whole deal. And to sum it up is if people can't figure out where you cut it, then you succeed. Just building stuff that you haven't done before, it's just the adventure of it, you know? It's like I want to come out successful in everything I'm doing, but also the spice of it is getting that agitation of not knowing. I was so bummed out when I started this project. I can't put in words how disappointed I was at the selection I had made. But I think this thing's gonna be all right. All the body fillers set. Eastwood gave me this urethane high build primer, and I'm just gonna coat the whole car with it. 3 heavy coats, because it's a filler primer, and then I can come back and block sand it. This is the first time you really get to see what the car looks like. It's all blotchy, you know, Bondo spots, metal spots, different tones. So having it all in one color is gonna be really cool. Once I get this thing all one color, a good primer coat on it, you're really gonna see what the car looks like. And that's really what I've been looking forward to. This chop top is what makes the car. It's looking good. It's like a one-piece, one-color car now, but I gotta see it at ride height. One of the things from the start was how tall this car was, how high it was off the street. I'm looking to get a 4-inch drop out of it, easy. Everything in rusted, stuck, typical scene. This part of the job. In case you're wondering how my nose got so rearranged, doing exactly this. No joke. The coil spring shot out of the car, hit me in the face. That's a big piece of metal that hits you in the face, huh? This is the old school lowering technique. Before there was all these fancy kits and airbags and yada, 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 you would cut the springs or you would heat them with a torch. Those were the options. So I'm doing it just like they would have done it back in the day. So I started off by cutting just about 2 coils off, a little bit more. It's hard to say exactly what the drop's gonna be until it's installed back in the car, because the spring rate changes, you really can't calculate it. So I'm just gonna cut both springs to match and set them in the car until it looks the way I think it should. That's what I'm talking about. It makes all the difference. It's a pretty serious family car, that's for sure. Makes me want to have a couple kids. Even though I'm on the home stretch with Tom's Packard, Don's got his Packard. He's all fired up, trying to get that finished too. So for me, right now, it's all Packards all the time. Get them done. It's like a duel to the finish.
We're getting ready to put the coolant in it and fire it up, so I'm getting pretty excited. I mean, it's getting closer and closer to be a running vehicle. Well, should we give her a try?
It's your baby, man. Looks like it's all there.
Okay, let's see what happens. It's not getting any spark.
Oh wait, it just fell out.
Ian had noticed that the hot lead going to the coil wasn't connected all the way.
Try it again, man. I'm not willing to.
You're not willing to throw them the
accept
tail
that.
yet, huh?
I just said 3 prayers.
3 prayers. Okay, let's go. Thank God that car wasn't up to operating temperature. There was a plug for the heater hose that was on the intake manifold. The clamp was not tight. Yeah. We know one thing, the water pump's working real good.
Wow.
Wow.
I'd say it runs.
It was a simple fix. Put the clamp on it, put more coolant in it, fire it up, change the t-shirt, wash the coolant off. Well, are we ready to try it again?
Yeah, I'm gonna stand over here.
You chicken. Sounds pretty good.
Well, let's put it on the ground, man. I think she's ready.
Ian was excited about pulling it out of the shop, cleaning up the mess, getting all the dirt off of it.
I like old cars. I see potential in everything. Make me want to do something really cool.
The car's been sitting for so long, to see it with a motor in it, the front end on, it running, getting the hubcaps on it. I mean, this thing is, it's there. I mean, it's ready to go. Looking at that other one really, really inspired me to get this one going.
And that's really the basis for the whole thing that I do, you know? So to see Don get charged up on the Packard that I'm doing, he's like, hey man, I got a Packard too. This thing says like stock car from the 50s. It's got that look. Maybe racing at Daytona Beach in the sand, something like that. It's a pretty good look. I'm excited to get back, finish the Packard I'm working on. There's a couple things left to attend to, and then that sucker's finished too. The last parts of every car build are really tedious, so I'm looking for some inspiration. I'm always trying to find something that's gonna take my mind off the tediousness of the finishing details. So making these taillight lenses was a perfect little diversion. This is my super improvised plastic heating device. I went on this whole bubble top adventure with my friend Victor, and I learned a lot about heating and forming plastic. Victor and I wanted to make a bubble top car, so we went about it in a way that would create this enormous plastic shape. So this is a miniature version of that. I just took this piece of a barbecue grill, put some foil on it, and then I have a propane heater. I'm gonna heat up the plastic and form it into a couple taillight lenses. I did a lot of experimenting with Victor on the bubble top, and I found out that 300 degrees is when the plexiglass starts to become formable. They make spaceships and stuff out of this, and here I am with a piece of the old refrigerator and a propane grill. My whole idea is getting this plastic really preheated well. That way it has time to go into the clamp before cooling back off. I took this piece of aluminum and put it in the roller to match the arc on this. It's just like the bubble top. It's got an air source with a base plate and some holes to let the air come through. And then there's a clamping ring that's gonna hold the plastic down to the base plate. Warm it up with the clamps and then inflate the lens through that retaining ring. Portacool sent over one of their huge shop fans that keeps the temperature in this place under control. I was also able to use it to cool down the plastic lens. If it stays molten for too long, it could change shape. It's the same idea as the bubble tops, just way smaller. This thing's pretty much wrapped. I'm excited to see Tom's reaction when he sees it. There's a lot of work getting the car to a finished state. I really busted it out. I can't wait for Tom to see it. So I'm really excited for him to check it out. It's like his idea come to life. We're ready, man.
Oh,
Check it out.
oh man. You're kidding, right?
It's the real deal.
Wow. Ian, man, that is one gorgeous machine. Look at that. When I first walked in and saw the Packard, I was blown away. It's amazing looking. It's actually a lot cooler than I could imagine.
The thing about when Tom walked in, the last time he saw the car, it was a shambles. I mean, there was just loose ends everywhere.
This is a perfect color for it. Holy smokes.
Yeah, you gotta see it in the sun. It pops pretty cool. I got this black cherry paint that complements it beautifully.
First thing I noticed when I walked in is the amount of time and work that went into it. There's a lot of customizing there.
All Tom's drawings were side views, so for him to look at it and see the angle of the A, B, and C pillars, it really meant a lot to him. I made these two taillights. It didn't have any taillights. Just
You
kind of
made
fresh.
those?
Yeah, I blew them out of plastic, kind of like mini bubble tops.
No, man, you're kidding, those are.
Because remember, it didn't have any lenses.
Ian tells me that he custom made these things himself, and I'm just shocked again. It's like, what can't this guy do?
The fact that this thing is a good stock runner really helps out in the end because he can enjoy it. He doesn't need to do all this other modifications. It's a complete factory stock Packard with a pretty nice chop top.
When I first sat inside the Packard, man, I couldn't help but feel, man, this is cool. I'm ready to cruise, man. And I am one cool dude because I'm cruising this thing. You want to go cruise? Hey, me and Sean Pound are cruising, man.
This was a very emotional experience. We took that car out of the carport and I was angry. I was just thinking we were going in a bad direction. I pulled through, you know? I was really thinking about quitting a lot of times. Tom's drawings helped me, and then finally seeing the metal change shape is kind of what led me to doing the finish work right.
There's one thing I've noticed about Ian. When it comes to customizing a car, is he's driven. He has something in mind, he sets a goal, and he goes for it. When we're thinking about where's the coffee, he's thinking about what do I have to do next to this car? What do I want to do next to this car? And he goes for it.
The whole deal with this is I was trying to help Tom out. He's done a ton of work for me. The least I could do is return the favor. So to really push my limits as far as the fabrication and finish work, it's just something to say thanks to Tom.
It's really indescribable. I can't talk about how grateful I am because there's no words to express it. I mean, other than getting in there and cruising down the boulevard with a big grin on my face, there's no real way to express how just excited I am. It's a cool car and I cannot wait to show it off.
This project is a great example of what I've been doing with my career. Just trying to be creative and push something further is what I'm all about. Just trying to discover new ideas. Keep the people happy, give them what they want, on to the next.